Nine Souls was a game that was on my list as soon as I saw it announced. It was touted as a 2D Metroidvania Souls-like with Sekiro-inspired combat.
Hello.
Tick, a massive tick.
Hello.
The visual design looked reminiscent of Hollow Knight with a nice hand-drawn aesthetic to it, and Nine Souls was attempting to fuse Taoism with some sort of post-apocalyptic sci-fi, which was an interesting twist. I'm going to start with a disclaimer, and it's not the first time I've issued this. Nine Souls isn't as good as Aeterna Noctis, because no Metroidvania is. It's also not as good as Hollow Knight. And so Nine Souls hasn't had the same impact on me as it probably has on other people who haven't fully appreciated those two games. Nine Souls is really good. The combat feels fantastic. There's some neat twists on some mechanics that I haven't really seen before too, which is cool. Combat is the centerpiece of the game, really. I'd say it has fantastic sound effect work, which is so key to playing a game with this like parrying-centric combat like Sekiro. And you really feel it when you're playing and get into the zone during a fight, almost approaching it like a rhythm game. And it feels wonderful when you get it right. Boss fights are really, really great because of this. The bosses have all got really good designs. They've got sort of well thought out telegraphed attacks, but also lots of surprises to keep you on your toes and make sure that, you're in that loop of dying and learning and trying again. A lot of people keen to emphasize how hard Nine Souls is, which is part and parcel of talking about a Souls-like game. It is challenging. It's honestly, it's nothing compared to Sekiro for a start. It's also like in the sort of Metroidvania territory. It's not as hard as Blasphemous or Hollow Knight. It's certainly not as hard as Aeterna Noctis. Even though I've beaten those games, I don't profess to be anything much better than, maybe slightly better than average at games in general. I'm persistent, if nothing else. So, I wouldn't want people to be turned off from Nine Souls thinking it would be too hard. And the nice thing is as well, which some of those games have similar things, but there are difficulty modifiers that you can apply to if you're finding things too tricky. So at any point you can like slide the damage multipliers sort of up and down. And so it's got you covered, which is, it is actually more welcoming than people would make you believe.
Yeah.
The one area I felt really let down with in Nine Souls was its platforming, which is a key component of like the Metroidvania genre. And there are hints of really great platforming and some good little sections. I just think the bar is just too high, for comparison in this. And if a game isn't doing something really different, it's not going to stand out when there are games that are as close to perfection as you can get in this genre.
Yeah.
I think like the thing that Nine Souls probably likes to think is what it sets itself apart, because it very openly, calls it a Sekiro-inspired Metroidvania. And it's basically saying, do you like Sekiro, Metroid, Castlevania? You'll like this game. That's, it's not even trying to set itself apart in terms of its gameplay. Yeah. It's saying, if you like these things that already exist, you will like this. But I think what it probably wants to set itself apart with is this Tao-punk fusion and, the story of the game. Don't think I'm sold on it. Like, there's a lot of story in this game. There's lots of chatting. There's some nice like manga style graphical storytelling moments that seem to happen. I mean, basically before you take on each of there's the game's 9 main bosses, and that was really, really cool. But all in all, I felt the game just told a lot more than it should have just showed.
Yeah,
I feel like it takes the mystique and intrigue out of a world when you don't have a choice but to be told everything about it. It's like I don't know. It feels like it's working too hard to make this sort of Tao-punk idea work when, those two concepts are very far apart to sort of mesh nicely. It's similar to how I feel about like the general design of the Horizon games. Yeah. It's like, imagine an ancient wilderness tribe, but all the animals are robots. I think Nine Souls doesn't need to try so hard. I think it would have been more successful if a lot of the events in the game and aspects of the game's lore were just left up to interpretation. It's interesting though, because like Taoism and Buddhism, they're like, the main sort of central religions in Taiwan, or sort of a fusion between the two. And obviously I'm experiencing this game through the prism of localization, which means I don't get as an authentic feel as I would like to, as to this game's representation of this aspect of Taiwanese culture. So I'm not, it's something that I think has, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm just trying to, I don't want to sort of be too down on it, because it's possible, again, that I played this game after having played 120 hours of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, which is got a lot of dialogue in it and a lot of lore and a lot of story and all of that. And maybe I just wanted something that could just tick the Metroidvania action side of things. So maybe, if I revisit this game, I might appreciate and enjoy the story and the lore, more. All in all, Nine Souls is a really good Metroidvania. It's got some of the best combat I've experienced in a 2D action game. It's just let down by the fact that it's not as good as some other games.
The old classic.
Yeah.
The old classic. The Metroidvania classic. There's too many of them.
I mean,
they can't all be bangers, can they?
Having said that, it's rumoured to be next week we should be getting our first gameplay look at the sequel to Aeterna Noctis. So I'm very excited for that. And any day now, Hollow Knight Silksong will be released, I'm sure.
Shadow dropped tonight.